We are in the 7th session. The topic is improving governance and performance in organization. Our session chairman is Mr. Abdul Rahim Surya. Mr. Surya is the past president of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. He was a member of the Education Board of International Federations of Accountants for 6 years. He held top positions in several companies. He is a professional trainer in the subject of finance. Now I invite Mr. Abdul Rahim Surya to address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Lakshman Watawala not only for inviting us and arranging such a big conference, but also for his high-level, high-quality hospitality for the last 4 days. And he has really entertained all our delegates very well. As you know, the topic of today's afternoon is improving governance and performance in organization. My dear fellow members, the first question is why need arose for corporate governance? If you remember, in 1997, the East Asian financial crisis saw the economies of Thailand, Indonesia, South Korea, Malaysia, and Philippines severely affected by the exit of foreign capital after property assets collapsed. The lack of corporate governance mechanism in these countries highlighted the weaknesses of the institution in their economies. In the early 2000s, the massive bankruptcies of Enron and WorldCom, as well as few other relatively small cases, led to increased shareholder and government interest in the corporate governance. Thus, the board of directors are under close watch and strict scrutiny and get in line of fire when something goes wrong. Thus, the governance, risk, and compliance are vital ingredients of organization performance and its long-term sustainability. Let me explain this with the help of video, and I think it will be a better medium since you are here after lunch, and before you sleep, I must show you a video.
Decisions. We make them every day, important and unimportant ones, right and wrong ones. In business, making the right decisions is what drives progress. But how does a click turn into a product or a signature into a department? How do individual decisions determine the future of an entire company? In the beginning, it's all so easy. You simply have to weigh up opportunity against risk. If you've got a good head for business, you'll go after the opportunities. An innovative product, a better way of producing it, a new way to market it. Risks are an inherent part of business, but can be useful in recognizing new opportunities. If you have the power to make decisions, you can shape your own success. In companies, decision-making is shared by many. This enables many people to explore new opportunities, product innovation, better manufacturing processes, new markets. At the same time, specialists assess risks so decision-making remains easy and safe. For example, they ensure compliance with all the applicable regulations, deal with contentious issues, and work out ways of responding to them. They consider internal sources of error and risks within the company's processes, monitor external risks and real threats. The bigger the company gets, the greater the opportunities. An IPO for fresh expansion capital, more market power through a merger, winning the whole world as a marketplace. Opportunities create growth, but so does risk. Let's take a closer look. Risk management deals with standard business risks. Compliance management takes care of legal and ethical considerations. An internal control and auditing system ensures reliable processes. A coherent system. It minimizes risks and creates a stable basis for decision-making. But often the process of weighing up risks slowly gains the upper hand. Every decision becomes a potential risk. How can we win back our decisiveness? By countering complexity with clarity. Clarity to tackle opportunities and risks. Clarity for governance, risk, and compliance management. There are three areas crucial for appraising a company's strengths and weaknesses: assurance, the level of security achieved, the costs incurred, and culture, the corporate culture in which everything happens. How secure is the company really? Is the internal control system effective? Does it still leave enough scope for an entrepreneurial approach? Are risk and compliance management focusing on the right risks? And are all processes properly coordinated to avoid potential gaps in the safety net? The second area is costs. Is the company running up unnecessary costs because several departments are working on the same risks? Do we know the hidden security costs of operational implementation within the company? And are these costs still proportional to the risks? And finally, the corporate culture. Sustainable improvement throughout the entire company is only possible with a shared attitude towards governance, risk, and compliance management. Is it valued as a business partner throughout the company? Are senior staff setting a positive example in relation to opportunities and risks? Only an impartial assessment of assurance, costs, and corporate culture creates clarity for successful governance, risk, and compliance management, enabling the company to regain its most valuable asset, the power to pursue its opportunities.
Now we'll begin our technical session, and we have here 4 speakers. They will share their experiences and research with you. Before I invite the first speaker, let me tell you the formalities and the procedure in which we'll be conducting this session. There are 4 speakers, and each will take 20 minutes, and it will be followed by question and answer. If you have any question to ask verbally, or if you want to send written hand slip, you can do that. With this, I would like to introduce the first speaker, Mr. Raj Kumar Adukia. He is the Central Council member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, senior partner of his own firm. He is an author of 34 books. I think he is only 34 and has written 34 books. Very interesting. He is CA, company secretary, cost accountant, MBA, diploma in IFRS from UK, bachelor degree in law, diploma in labor laws. He has served on the board of directors as independent director at BOAI Assets Management Company Limited. With this brief introduction, I would like to call Mr. Raj Kumar.
Thank you, Chairman, for nice introduction. The topic given to me is engaging the boards in governance beyond compliance. Chairman, dignitaries on the dais, At the outset, I compliment CMA, SAFA, ICAI, and Professor Watawala for this excellent conference. I extend the greetings on behalf of the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Jaideep Narendra Shah also. IU Bhuvan. I think my first task is to engage audience in the discussion, and then we'll come to the subject, engaging the boards in governance beyond compliance. Each activity on this earth, what we are talking of sustainability, corporate responsibility, has come into existence out of necessity. When first time I looked at this topic, engaging the boards in governance beyond compliance, I felt why this topic is required. because it is the fundamental duty of the board to govern an organization. Why others are required to engage them in this task? Regulators have done enough in each country to do this, and this is not now, it was 2000 years back and earlier also. Like we have in India, there is Chanakya, a great management guru who has written Arthashastra. There are governance principles written by Chanakya in Arthashastra. Then various events which have taken place in this world, like we had Great Depression in US in 1929, and then we saw the enactment of Securities Act 1933, Securities Exchange Act 1934, the Glass-Steagall Act, separation of banking and investment banking. Then we had Enron, WorldCom, we had SOX 2002. All these committees after committees, starting from Adrian Cadbury, then Greenberry Committee, Hemphill Committee, South King, all these have talked about governance, but that has failed. The compliance, the law has not been able to keep the pace, keeping the board members alert about governance. And therefore we are discussing, how we can engage and who else can engage the board in governance, which is beyond compliance. Now, what is good corporate governance? It is a system of checks and balances between the board, management, investors to produce an efficiently functioning corporation. If we look at the failure of Barings Bank by Neil Nixon, that happened because of failure of internal control, failure of the risk management framework. So the foundation of any good corporate governance is disclosure, openness of the whole process. And therefore, yesterday we were talking about integrated reporting. Now what is integrated reporting? That there should be a disclosure of strategy, there should be a disclosure of the governance, there should be a disclosure of environment, social responsibility, in addition to what has been happening about financial reporting. There are 5 routes in a corporate governance. One is equal treatment to shareholders. What happens in insider trading, we saw recently this Rajat Gupta and Raj Ratnam's case. So if the majority holders, those who are in control of organization, there is a oppression on minority, then it is not a good governance. Then interest of all the stakeholders, the employees, creditors, suppliers. Then the fundamental and most important is the role and responsibilities of the board. There may be supervisory board, like in Germany we have 2 boards. There is a management board and supervisory board, or there may be an integrated board. The 4th is, and most important, ethical behavior by the members of the board. And 5th is disclosure and transparency. If we see the COSO framework also, that talk about control environment. The first thing to control is the environment. If we want a safety of this hotel, the first thing which need to be done is controlling every checkpoint and every entrance point. So each member of the board, if they are alert about corporate governance, then only there will be a good corporate governance in that enterprise. Otherwise, the majority member of the board, they may be conniving themselves and override the control. What happened in Satyam in India? If the board members themselves do a fraud on stakeholders, then no one can save such an enterprise. No regulators, no other stakeholders will be able to save such an organization. There is a survey done last year by Fidelity Analysts, and it was across Asia Pacific enterprises. And out of 1,000 stocks, it was found that only 21% major companies, about 210 companies, are applying global corporate governance standards. You know, we have many standards, Turnbull standards, we have Blue Ribbon Committee report, and 50% of analysts thought that it would take 10 years or more to comply for rest of the companies to reach at a global level. Now, what are the issues in corporate governance? The asymmetry in power, asymmetry of information shared, interests of the shareholders as residual owners, role of owner management, theory of the separation of powers, you know, like the chief executive officers should be separate than the chairman, and dividing the corporate earning among various stakeholders. What we have seen, you know, the employees engaging the employee relationship, suppliers. Now, in corporate governance, the board of directors is the foundation. The board is the foundation for the governance because they make strategic decisions. They drive the whole enterprise. So they need to be accountable. There should be a system to have a performance evaluation of the board members. There should be a system to see how each member of the board, are they prepared before they come to board meeting, how much time they are giving to in the board meeting, are they competent to participate in the board decision making. If they are not alert, like, you know, the topic is engaging the board in governance beyond compliance, then it falls the responsibility on other stakeholders. The shareholders have to see that they participate effectively in the appointment of directors. In all different constitutions, there are introduction of legislation where there are representatives of shareholders on the board. There may be one meeting, like general meeting, where shareholders should raise questions. They should see that they are able to make board accountable in managing the company. And then the management. In each company which has failed, we have seen that, and in many countries like in India, there is a whistleblower bill pending before parliament, both for public sector and private sector. So new laws may come into force depending on the past experience. But if each stakeholder, they do not become aware of their responsibilities, if they do not become ethical, the governance will not improve. So if board, suppose they override internal control, then the management can be a whistleblower. They can raise a voice that something is going on wrong in the organization, like what the complete investigation has not taken place. There is a fraud in Reebok which is under investigation. So these kind of frauds will keep on happening, and I have made some study about frauds which has happened in past. I feel that even after 5,000 years, frauds will take place. I am not very pessimistic, but I know that any amount of control cannot prevent happening of the fraud. But what we can do is minimize their occurrence. There are surveys which says that governance should be at the heart of decision making process, and there should be majority of investors should take interest in the governance process. Now on, you know, talking about the responsibilities of the board, OECD has said that the board should ensure the strategic guidance of the company, effective monitoring of management by the board, and they should be accountable to the company and to shareholders and other stakeholders. So board is a starting point for the governance, and therefore it becomes very important how each member of the board, because in COSO framework if we see control environment, then the second is control activity. You control board, but then each member of the board, before he is taken into board, there should be a proper nomination process, there should be a due diligence of that member. The principle 6 in OECD principle says board members should act on a fully informed basis, in good faith. And any fraud, how they have come into light, say Satyam fraud. One of the board member got alerted or they resigned, then the analyst investigated it further. The board decisions may affect different shareholders groups, so they should treat all shareholders fairly. Therefore, the class action provisions came into existence because all shareholders are not treated equally. And above all, ethics is one thing which each board member should follow. Any amount of legislations will not help in making governance effective. The board they are fiduciaries for other people's money, and therefore they are bound to create operational management. This is said by Adrian Cadbury. After 1992, his report, the governance across the world came in more prominence. What are the roles of the board? They have to review corporate strategy. They have to monitor effectiveness of company's governance. They have to compensate key executives and oversees the succession planning. They have to align key executives and board remuneration, the transparent board nomination and election process, managing potential conflict of interest, ensuring integrity of company's accounting and financial reporting, and overseeing the disclosure and communications. There is a report of OECD about governance in Asia 2011, and this says that it reads the improvement of various organizations which are in Asia Pacific region. The role of board of directors is improving since 2005. There are various obstacles in implementations. Then what is these obstacles? This is about size and functions of the board, the composition of the board, and therefore it has been stated, like in India, we have listing agreement, there are 54 clauses, and clause 49 says that if the chairman is also CEO, then 50% directors should be independent. And if the chairman and CEO are two separate individuals, then the number required is less. Similarly, we need to have corporate governance code, that is another process by which board can be engaged in governance beyond compliance. Looking to the time, I would like to go to the slides which talks about what is way forward, because what has gone in past and the stage where we are today, what a director should know. The director should know the role and responsibility as a director. Therefore, legislation has come on the cap on the directorship which an individual can have. I am told that there are many directors who hold 40 directorships and their major earning. And this we have seen in the big failures of corporations where the board of director, a member of board, is there just to get director fees and do not give the time to the company. adhere to the clear boundaries between the board and management. They should know about the industry. They should know about the operational, legal, and technical aspects. So the knowledge management by a director is a key requirement for an effective board which can effectively govern an enterprise. So the director should possess business acumen for the company, should network and manage multiple stakeholders for the benefit of the company, problem-solving ability of the director. The mindset of the director should be that the director is contributing in the good management of a company, balance all stakeholders' interest. The director should feel accountable to the company, believes that performance of director is critical, invest adequate time and effort, provides direction for management, demonstrates ethical leadership, create a performance culture, makes well-informed and high-quality decisions. You know, my experience, I have been in the board of few very large companies, Bharat Sanchar in our country, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, Bank of India, State Bank of India. What I have seen that unless, I had to really pester for the certain decisions. So each member of the board, and I have seen when I was raising certain issues, other board members were not feeling very comfortable and they were independent directors. So to make board responsible and to make board effective in governance, each member of the board need to be effective. And that effectiveness will come if there is a full report on the board functioning for the company. And then we will know how the board is driving the company, what they are doing in strategic decision making, what they are doing in governance, what they are doing in other areas like social responsibility, environment. Like what happens in a risky business, the task is transferred to the legal experts. Like what this picture says, my lawyer would like to talk to your lawyer about the risks of your upcoming operation. I'll skip this. Now this also should not happen in a board, in the decision making. This shows a picture, where I'm still not sure how it happened. 1 minute we were bouncing ideas off each other, and the next thing I knew we were using furniture instead of expressing our ideas. My personal experience is like I talked about few companies where I participated as an independent director. Whenever I used to give some decisions or some views, the matter was transferred to legal experts, and their opinion used to come, yes, what Mr. Adukia is saying is correct. And then that suggestion was implemented. So then, if that is the role, if the independent director plays or a member of board plays, then it becomes little difficult to drive the organization for good governance. Way forward, I'll just take 1 minute. Appears difficult to find one single solution for engaging the board in good governance, but every stakeholder has to become alert about their responsibilities. We have to create a system where there is a transparency in taking a new member in the board. There should be a nomination process, there should be a full-fledged evaluation process of the nominations, how a member of the board has been taken. Then the functions of the chairman and CEO need to be separated, which has been done in most of the countries. Shareholders' role in nominating the members of the board need to be enhanced. and board member liability and how they are performing their duties need to be looked into. And there should be a specific policy for identification of best skill composition of the board. I think some of these steps are taken or all of them are taken, perhaps the board will be more effective board and the governance of an enterprise will be better. Thank you.
With this, now I request the second speaker, Ms. Richa Bajpal. She is the co-founder director of Next Generation. Before I read her very brief profile, I would like to mention you she has graduated only 3 years back, and that from the day one she has started her own business. We accountant generally do not take courage to do our own business. We first opt for job and then go for the business. So I must compliment her for her courage. She is a bachelor in electrical engineering and management education from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Her contribution in sustainability and environment space have been widely recognized at international forums and at media. With this, Ms. Richa.
First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers and especially Professor Watawala for giving us an opportunity to come and speak here. So I'm going to briefly take you through the journey of development of ERPs for sustainability and how it is of importance to monitor our sustainability performance. So this is the overview of my presentation. So these are the different aspects I will be touching through. So as you all know, I'll start with something which is very basic.